Hey everybody, welcome back to another Deck Tech. We've been going over the Amonkhet God Cycle card type decks, and you guys voted for Bolas this time. I get he's not one of the Amonkhet gods, but still. So, with my other Praise God decks, I've required myself to play at least 3 copies of the god, and 3 copies of their corresponding monument. That being said, Bolas does not have a monument. And although that'd be really cool if he did, but instead he has a 5-mana sorcery called Dark Intimation. So I use that to replace the monument slot in my requirements. Oh, also I didn't play 3 copies of Bolas here because, you know, he's a 7-mana planeswalker and all. I just played 2 copies. So before we get into it, make sure to check out our sponsor over at flipsidegaming.com. If you buy your Magic singles over there at their website and use my promo code GREAT at checkout, you'll get 10% off of your purchases over $10. Alright, now we can get into it. Let's start out with the obvious and already previously discussed. The copies of Bolas and Dark Intimations are the main focus of the deck. We all know how good a resolved Bolas is, but the real all-star of the deck, surprisingly enough, was Dark Intimations. The last time I did a deck on Bolas, I made it mostly control and spell-based that ran Scarab God and Torrential Gearhulk. This time, I wanted to take full advantage of Dark Intimations, so instead of playing a spell-heavy deck, I split it evenly between 18 creatures and 18 non-creatures. With this, we still have the control aspects of a Bolas themed deck, but this time Dark Intimations can serve a larger purpose than it did in that deck. Essentially, this card does 4 pretty useful and flavor-heavy things for you. It does 2 bad things against your opponent and 2 good things for you. Your opponent has to sacrifice a creature or planeswalker, then discard a card, and you do the opposite. You draw a card and return a creature from your graveyard to your hand. This card was heavily criticized when I put it in that other deck, and for good reason. But I was playing it with this deck, I seem to always want it in my hand. I cannot stress enough how good this card has been in this deck. I just want people to recognize that. We're in a lot of trouble. Oh my god. Oh, I feel so bad for him. Alright, here we go. Gonna make you sacrifice Chandra and discard one of your cards. Alright, what are we going to get back, though? I think only Champion of Wits is in our graveyard. Yeah, so we'll just grab that, and we draw a Spirebluff Canal. That's pretty good. I mean, gets rid of half of his cards, makes him sacrifice his Planeswalker, we get back Champion, we draw an extra card, like, what's not to love about that? Alright, he's going to tick up with Chandra and exiles Glorybringer. Well, unfortunately for him, what happened in Game 1 is going to happen in Game 2. Here we go. Like, this is so stupid, man. This card is so ridiculous. Yep, make you sack your Chandra. Again, we're going to get some more card advantage. Again, we're going to get back either Gonti or Kitesail. Probably Kitesail, just because I don't want him having removal or counters in his hand. Alright, there he picks off Chandra. Discards what? Glorybringer. And what do we want to grab back? We can get back Gonti or Kitesail. I think we actually go with Gonti here, just because it's a Death Touch creature, and his removal isn't really worth anything because Gonti's Enter the Battlefield effect is already so strong. Let's move to the creatures. I wanted this deck to be competitive, yet have nice flavor to it. So one of Scarab God, Locust, and Scorpion God were thrown in for flavor purpose. Most of the time, however, I found myself sideboarding most of their Locust God and Scorpion God out. So in all honesty, you could probably either play a 3 of Scarab or a 3 of Locust God here if you want to. But the other creatures are very good in this deck. They are put in specifically for the value they give us, especially if you can get them back with Dark Intimations. Death Touch creatures were the first thing that came to mind when I was making this deck. Death Touch creatures are honestly right now the best answers to energy decks, which we have a good matchup against. Both Bone Picker and Gonti Lord of Luxury are those great creatures. Bone Picker, most of the time, will cost us 1 black mana, which in itself is very strong, but the card is also very versatile. It's not only a good defensive unit, but also a very good aggressive unit as well. Gonti, while not being as aggressive as Bone Picker, still serves his purpose, an annoying Death Touch creature that essentially gives you selective card advantage against your opponent. Not to mention when you replay him after getting him back with Dark Intimations, his value increases. All right, I think it's Ghani time. If he's got a counter, he's got a counter. All right, tap out Gonti. Does he resolve? He does resolve. All right, he's going to abrade it. I think we still get the, yeah, we still get to see. Ooh. Vraska's Hostage Taker is also pretty good, but I think Vraska's Contempt is the pick here. Being able to exile anything and gain some life, that's pretty good. Yeah, I honestly would rather have removal than Hostage Taker. It's really a toss-up, but yeah, all those were good options. I'd just rather have hard removal. And that's why you play Gonti. I mean, we make him use a removal spell from his hand, and we steal a removal spell from his deck. Oh, and there's Chandra, and we're just gonna Vraska's Contempt that. Sweet. Oh wait, no, we can also Dark Intimations. Those aren't our only creatures. Champion of Wits, Kitesail Freebooter, and Neheb the Eternal also earned spots in this deck. Champion of Wits and Neheb were first put in the deck for flavor reasons because of Eternalize, but they both do great things for us. Champion helps filter out our deck for the cards we need now, and Neheb helps us fit a lot of spells in on our turn, or even ramp us to nickel Bolas. At first, you might see Neheb as a silly include, and that's what I first thought. But in a way, he's like Bone Picker. A 4/6 with a flick 3, regardless of the mana producing ability, is both a good aggressive and defensive unit. And you may think that he immediately gets targeted by removal, but he doesn't. Most of our opponent's removal is thrown at our Death Touch creatures or stolen by Kitesail Freebooter, which is why we're playing Kitesail Freebooter. If he dies, who cares? We can get him back with Dark Intimations. That's it for the creatures. Now we gotta discuss the non-creatures. Since the meta right now is full of energy creature-based decks, I decided to leave counters out of the main board and throw in mostly removal. Playsets of Fatal Push and Unlicensed Disintegration are all the removal we really need. Remember, we already have Death Touch creatures and Dark Animations as further removal, so these are just extra. Unlicensed Disintegration, however, isn't just a hard removal spell for 3 mana. No, we do play artifacts in the deck. Originally, it was a playset of Sunset Pyramid, but now it's a playset of Treasure Map. Once you use the Scry ability 3 times, you flip it and create 3 treasure tokens that can either be sacrificed for mana or sacrificed to our now flipped Treasure Map for cards. The card is honestly insane, fixing draws early, and once it transforms, giving us extra mana and cards. Our last spell in the deck is Boneyard Parlay. I really wanted to make this card work, but I always sideboarded it out. In all honesty, I'd rather just replace this with a 4th copy of Dark Animations. So that's what I recommend you do. Our land base is expensive, but necessary. Canyon Slough, Dragon Skull Summit, Droned Catacomb, Fetid Pools, and Spire Bluff Canal are our dual lands, followed by 3 Island, 3 Swamp, and 2 Mountain for our basic lands. The sideboard is also a very important part of this deck. Bonte's Last Reckoning against token decks and aggro, Doomfall against decks that play gods or just control decks in general, Essence Scatter, Negate, and Supreme Will as counters for their rightful situations, and finally Lost Legacy against pesky combo type decks. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. Honestly, this deck is so fun to play with, and I had just as much fun playing with it as I did with Saheeli's Thopters. Just truly a great experience. Anyway, make sure to like, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed, and to vote for which deck tech you want to see next in the top right-hand corner. Alright, hopefully I'll see you guys for those gameplays that will come out in the following days.